Well, Todd, there you are. Hey, how you doing? This is Santa Rosa, California, and my name is James Clem. And where are you at?
I'm in Austin, Texas. Todd Ehrlich. I'm in the Republic of Texas.
That
How are
doesn't
you doing
like
over
your
there in
bunker. Where's your
California?
bunker?
I'm not in my bunker anymore. Tonight is too big of a night. We've got too good of a
Yeah,
guest for me to
I
be
think so.
stuck in the bunker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I went over to my office today and decided to get hooked up here. But James, how are you doing about not being in the office? Like, this is our second home. How are you feeling about not walking the hallway?
Kind of let me back up here for a moment. I felt like I was in my final exam in dental school about a half an hour ago. I was at home getting this ready to go. So I'm driving the broadcasting software, and my Wi-Fi just went dead. I guess everyone's at home and using it. So I beelined out of my house, went to my office. I'm even sweating a little bit right now, but everything is up and going. And I was just going, it's kind of like running behind, and you got two clients in the reception area waiting for you. But I'm good. I'm on board. I'm in my office. I'm isolated in my office, and I'm ready to go. But it's
Well,
been a
good.
good weekend, though.
You got some adrenaline pumping through you then.
Yeah, I would have to say I didn't have to drink any coffee to get up for this one. I just had a little adrenaline going.
I got my coffee going. So,
Yeah.
Sunday, is typically a day that I take rest and, have fun and do stuff with the family.
Yeah.
But, all our days are just mixing into each other, would you say?
In fact,
I didn't even know when Friday was last week.
my retired clients say that they one day gets into the next, and that's happened to me. Last week I had to go, okay, is today Tuesday? And it was actually Thursday, and then Friday came, and it seemed like the weekend was a day apart. I guess this is getting ready for retirement.
Well, I couldn't help it. I had to come in the office, and I'll admit, I walked the hallway and kind of looked in the operatories,
Ah.
and it's a little sad, but then then it's also inspiring because I know it's right around the corner. We're going to get back in there and
Yeah, we're going to do it.
jump into action. One of the things I did, I cleaned out one of the closets, and I found one of your textbooks from back when you were at dental school.
Morphology, my friend. I knew that book. You know what? I still think of that book in my brain when I'm doing some morphology. Remember
Yeah.
the teeth we had to identify, know whether it's right or left, lower lateral? How about two lower centrals? Those were hard.
So, but I got to give the guy credit for who made the book, and
Yeah.
this is the Tooth Carving Manual by Henry Linick, DDS, and he was at the University of Michigan, USC. He was in your country, USC.
Yeah.
But this was from 1948. I'm just kidding. It wasn't your textbook, but it was. I had this in dental school, and
Todd, let me do a little geometry where we're at. Actually, geography. USC is southern El Paso. I'm in northern El Paso.
I got it. Very good. But as I was looking, I do reference this book. Actually, it's worn out because whenever I do a wax up, I pull it out because it's impossible to remember every little nuance. And there's a time when I'm doing a wax up, Dr. Clem, and I always think of you, and it really bothers me. But when I'm doing laterals, and I hate waxing up laterals, they're the hardest teeth in the mouth to make look right. I always think of the facial depression at the distal line angle that you hammered me on a few years ago. So every time I carve that back, I got to make that right for James Flynn. But I love you, man.
I'm glad I can be part of that process. This is almost like a therapy session right now, but it's.
Yes, it is. Hey, let's get to our guest. One of the things that I love about being in the digital world, and especially the CAD/CAM world, is that we got entrepreneurs. We got people that come out of nowhere and just make a huge impact. And I will say, over the last, let's say, 5 years, nobody has come out like Dhaval Patel has when it comes to Keep CERECing. I mean, his Keep CERECing group has just grown and grown and grown, and really is probably one of the main locations that people come for information worldwide. So, Dhaval Patel, are you on?
Let me get him on the screen here because he's looking handsome today.
He is. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for showing up.
Hey,
And
he's in North. He's in Northern
dude,
El Paso as well.
all this mess. What's going on in your world? Let us know.
Am I on?
Yes,
Yeah.
you are.
Nothing much. Just, I guess, what is it? A Sunday today?
Yeah.
All the days like feel the same right now. So just enjoying my downtime. Just spending a whole lot of time with the family. Great weather outside. Taking long walks. I guess the break was good for me.
Yeah.
How's that? What was the best thing that happened to you during all this nonsense?
Well, before this whole thing happened, I was kind of just running around without a direction, to say the least. I mean, this year started with some lecturing. We were on a trip together to Germany. Came back from that, and then I was kind of just tied up every weekend in February and March before the shutdown happened. I was lecturing. So I was gone. I was working Monday to Thursday, flying out Thursday evening, lecturing on Friday and Saturday, doing workshops, flying back cross country on a Saturday evening, reaching home late Saturday night. I mean, kids are asleep already, waking up on a Sunday, spend a little bit of time I have on Sunday with the family, back to work on Monday. So since this has happened, I've just reconnected with my family in a whole different way. Spend a lot of time with the kids, helping them with their homework. Like I said, we've been playing a lot of tennis together until the city decided to kind of shut down the tennis courts. And just taking walks, just spending a lot of time with the wife, and just doing things around the house, fixing up stuff, seeing a few patients for emergencies whenever they crop up. But if it wasn't for all the deaths happening around, and if it wasn't for the economic shutdown, I love this.
Yeah, dude, it sounded like you had a rocking year. Is that right?
Yeah. I started off really, really busy, so I'm enjoying this downtime, to say the least.
Well, good enough. Where's your practice, and how big is it, and tell me about your practice a little bit.
So I'm in Roseville. It's a suburb of Sacramento.
Okay.
We are a group practice. I have myself and 2 associates. I have 2 hygienists. We have all specialties. Pretty much we've got ortho, endo, OS, perio certain times a month. And yep, it's almost like a one-stop shop.
So how long have you been practicing, and tell me your story about how you became a dentist.
So I was born and raised in India. I went to dental school in India. I graduated dental school 2003 in India. Came to the United States right after my graduation, pretty much. It was kind of a really depressing time for me because I lost my dad to cancer the week I graduated from dental school. And it wasn't a very happy time. I was here in the United States. The only silver lining in my life at that point was I was going to practice dentistry here in the United States. I heard a lot of good things about the state of affairs of dentistry here. It wasn't back the same back home back then. It's getting a little better there now as well. But when I came here, I found out the only way for me to practice dentistry here was to go back to dental school.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many people want to go back to dental school after they just graduated from dental school, right? So yeah, you're still reading. I could see the textbook right there. I've got my own right here. This is what I was reading.
Oh, but that's a good book.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Man,
yeah, I wasn't very thrilled about that. So the only other way to practice dentistry in the United States was in the state of California, where you could take a bench test. And if you aced that test, then you could take the dental board exam for California and practice here. But right around that time in 2003, the dental board decided they're going to shut down the bench test because they felt that there were too many foreign dentists in California.
Oh no.
So while I was preparing for this test, they shut this test down. but there were about 3,500 people who were accepted for the test and were told all of a sudden that they're not going to take the test anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So the 3,500 people made a big deal about it. I was one of those 3,500 people. Finally, the dental board said, okay, we'll give each one of you a couple tries to kind of take this test. If you guys pass, we let you take the dental board, the part 4, which pretty much all the US graduates take as well. And if you pass that, then you practice in California. If you fail, then you go back to a school in the US, the final 2 years of the schooling, and then you go through the normal routine. So that was kind of good news, but I got a letter from the dental board. I still have that letter. It exactly said, hey, your applicant number 3489, I think it was, out of the 3,500 people, and your estimated time to take this test is November 2009. And when I got the letter, it was November 2004.
Oh my goodness.
So they wanted me to wait to take a test, which had about a 10% passing rate. So about 250 people took it at one time. About 25 people made it, not because the rest were bad, but because they only wanted to allow a certain amount of dentists kind of get through the system, right? So, I said, I'm not going to wait for 5 years to take this test. So I said, might as well I start applying for dental schools. But while all of this chaos was happening, I was actually working at a dental institute in Southern California at this dentist's place who used to train foreign grads to kind of prepare for this test. His name is Dr. Michael Duggan. He was a graduate from Loma Linda, great dentist. He taught me everything that I needed to take this test. I was not only preparing with him, I was actually running his institute as well. So I was pretty much doing everything that he wanted me to do. So I would set up the tables for all the students coming in, and his courses were so popular because so many people wanted to kind of ace this test. He pretty much taught 24/7. There were days when I didn't go back home. I was just there. I would sleep on the table for an hour or two, take a nap, get back up again, and we have a new group of students coming in. So I pretty much ran his institute. And 2 days before the first test in 2004, it was November. One of my buddies who was supposed to take the test at USC, he showed up at the institute to buy some supplies. That's what I thought. So I started talking to him, and he told me that, hey, I'm very scared about this test. I'm not prepared about this test, and I withdrew my application. That's what he told me. And I'm like, why would you do that? I mean, it's so hard to get into this test. Why would you withdraw your application? And he goes, hey, the dental board promised me that if I withdraw my application, they'll give me a turn in about 2 months. But if I fail, which I feel I'm very likely to, I'd have to go back in 2009. And I'm like, yeah, welcome to my world, right?
Yeah.
So when he told me that he withdrew his application, I'm like, so there's only about 249 people taking the test. This was on Thursday. The test was on Saturday at USC, and I was in Southern California. So I called up the dental board. I still remember it was about 3:30 in the evening, and I called up, and this lady answers the call, and I said, hey, I just found out that there is an available spot for this test in 2 days. I'll take the spot. And she goes, we don't have a spot, and she just hung up. So I called about 4 o'clock again, and I said, hey, it's me again. I know there is a spot, and if you do not want to waste that spot, I'll take it. And she goes, hey, doc, it's not as easy as it sounds. First of all, we don't have a spot. If we did, we have to reach out to everybody on the waiting list. And if they want to take the spot, so you got to wait for your turn. And she goes, by the way, with your number, you got to wait 5 years. I said, okay. So she hung up again. I called at 4:30 again. And I said, hey, did you find somebody for the spot? And she goes, oh my God, you're so persistent. And I said, listen, you know what? If you haven't found somebody, I know the test is in 2 days. I'll take the spot. And she goes, if you promise me not to tell anyone, I'll let you take the spot. I said, I just
until now.
I won't say anything.
Until now.
Shut up. Right? I'll shut down. Right. So I said, how do I get the spot? And she goes, yeah, you just got to come down to the dental board in Sacramento and pay your fees in about half an hour. And I'm like, I'm in Los Angeles. I can't be I can't be coming to Sacramento in half an hour. So she goes, well, then you can't take the spot. She wouldn't take the credit card. I don't know what the whole deal was, but they had to have a cashier's check. Luckily, my uncle lives in Sacramento, and I said, what if I have somebody else come on my behalf? And she goes, that's fine. Call up my uncle. He was on the way to his, I guess, to the airport. He was leaving on a trip or something. Luckily, he had some time. He goes to the bank, picks up a check, goes to the dental board, pays my fees, and I took the test 2 days later, and I passed the test.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So that's how I got my license in the United States. Otherwise, I was waiting for another 5 years to take that stupid test.
Isn't it funny how dentistry is just jumping hoops a lot of times? That's all we're doing. Yeah. So what do you think? Obviously, what do you think the lesson is that God gave you in that experience?
Well, I guess one thing I felt was, and Dr. Duggan used to say that all the time. He goes, you didn't pass this test because you've got some great clinical skills or anything like that. He goes, you passed this test because you were well prepared for this test. And when you got your chance, you took it. So I guess being prepared in life is a good thing. I always say failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Being persistent, I believe, is a good thing as well. Just keep knocking on the door, and if it doesn't open, just kick the door open, I guess.
That's a great story. I don't know if I've ever heard somebody that wanted it that bad.
No, that's amazing. Well, it's that's why you have excelled so well in everything that you do, because that's your reputation out there in the field. And I'm saying that from a very honest standpoint of how much I admire you, particularly with what you've done with the largest online forum in the world with.
Well, you have no clue what you're making me feel like, Dr. Klim. I mean, you guys, I've been watching you guys for so long. Actually, the first time I saw both of you was at, I believe it was CEREC 27 and a half. That was my first CEREC event.
Yeah.
And I still remember, I guess you were in the big theater at that point. I believe it was the Venetian Theater or something. And I heard you speak. Right after you, I believe it was Mike Scramstead. And I'm like, man, these guys are amazing. I saw Todd on the floor doing his live session.
Oh, yeah. With his
that Todd used to do, right? And I got my first opportunity to speak at a large event like that in 2015. Mm-hmm. I believe it was CEREC 30 at that time. And so I mean, it was a big moment for me, and I just wanted to be so prepared. So the day before my lecture, I go to check out my room where I was supposed to lecture, and I had the biggest fright of my life because I was given the Venetian Theater, and there's about 1,500 seats in that place, and I'm looking at the names, and it reads Sam Puri, James Klim, and I guess it was me after that. And I'm like, there's a mistake. So I go up to the room, and I asked the usher if he would let me in to check the room out. And he goes, you can't go in, sir. I said, it says my name. That's a mistake. I think that's probably Neil Patel or somebody. And he goes, well, we don't know. This is Sarona's deal. So he goes, you must be popular. That's why they gave you this big room. And I said, I don't know about that, but I'm very, very sick right now. I don't know how this thing is going to go tomorrow. Luckily, it went well. And it was a huge moment for me.
Well, dude, you're very inspiring to a lot of people. And the thing that I love about senior, and every time my Facebook feed kicks in that you post, I always look at it. You're an unbelievable dentist. You prepare teeth exceptionally well. You're a great preparer of teeth. And not only
I was thinking you probably check out the post just to make sure I didn't sprinkle any powder on it, right?
Yeah. Well,
Hey, you and I are brothers on that one.
Now, so Keep CERECing. You've got a great following, but it wouldn't be as big as it is without the great leader that you are. And
Thank you.
I want to personally thank you for the things that I've learned from you, and you've inspired me. So inspiration is what a lot of us need right now. And so what are you doing with your family, or mainly with your team members? What are you doing to get through all of this and try to come back strong?
Yeah.
I guess I've got several teams. If I may say, I've got a team at the office. I consider my family as my team. I also consider my community of Keep CERECing as my team as well. So we do. I'm still going to the office 3 half-a-days a week. I'm meeting with my office manager. We have one person still kind of looking around things and making calls and stuff like that. Seeing emergencies. We have a group chat that we kind of on it all the time. So just kind of talking to people, making sure that everybody's doing okay. If some of the folks are out of work, if they need something, those kind of things. Making sure that I keep my office up and running in a way that when all of this kind of settles down, we come back strong. Doing things in the office that we weren't doing while everything was busy, just setting things up, getting better systems in place, trying to do learn a little more about the 3D printing stuff, because I just gotten into it and I was kind of finding that a little difficult. So, learning a lot of that. On the Keep CERECing thing, I always felt that the group is getting too large. And I felt that some of the new users were very intimidated by, all the stuff they're seeing by the experienced users. So the idea was, how can we engage more of these new users? And that's how I came up with the mentorship program. Yeah. And I think that's working really well. Todd, you're a mentor. I don't know if you've been mentoring or not, but I still need to check out your group. Make sure you're on it.
Yeah. Hey, Dhaval. Thank you for sharing so much. I'm running the broadcast here. Could you move to your right about 2.5 inches?
Is that good?
Okay, now relax back just a tad. Oh, perfect. You're actually within 20 microns of proper positioning. Okay, go for it.
Like I was saying earlier, if James was involved, symmetry is going to be an issue. So
I have issues.
Right there.
He definitely has issues.
I have issues.
So
symmetry creates harmony. Asymmetry creates visual tension. I learned that from James.
I was going to put my thumbs up here. Yeah.
So the mentorship program is actually really good. Yes, I've been involved. I've enjoyed our private conversations we've had with that. Where do you see this going, and where do you think Keep CERECing what will happen in the future with it?
Well, the way I see the mentorship program work is hopefully, we've got about 30 mentors right now, and everybody has groups of 5 or 6 mentees. There are some mentors who have taken up a little more, but hopefully these mentees kind of really, jump into it and ask questions and I guess get to know a little more about CEREC dentistry, or, for that matter, 3D printing or implants or stuff, whatever they want to learn about. From experts, and be more prepared, so when we're back up and working, they feel a little more confident in their skills. But my whole goal is to, whenever you look at any Facebook groups, they're the same people that are posting every single time. Keep CERECing is about 14,600 members, and if I were to count on my fingertips, I would probably know most of the posters that post, like most of the members that post all the time. There's probably about 200 people posting, if I may say so. There's, 1 or 2 people. Well, there's more people coming up, but the goal is to create this community where more people share. And I guess when people share, we all learn. And when everybody learns, I think the biggest benefactor is our patients. When I learned something from James, when I learned something from you, Todd, I can apply that on to all my patients. And I guess if we can just spike up our expertise a little bit every single day and improve our clinical skills and pass that on to our patients, I guess we all can do a world of good. So that's the goal, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I appreciate your heart so much there. It's just, this is moving to me because I know how many cases you post. I have a question for you. You do incredible documentation with your camera. How do you work that into your clinical flow? Are you taking those pictures? Does your team support you there? Because to take that consistently is a lot of work. How do you work that into your clinical flow? Taking all those great pictures of your cases and your preps that I desire to have as my own.
Oh, thank you. That is a huge compliment coming from you. But I guess it's habit, it's practice. So earlier I wasn't very efficient at it, but now once I've been doing it for a while, I mean, you guys document as much, so you're just making me feel better by saying that.
No, you
But
document a lot.
I pretty much document everything that I do. I don't post everything, but I guess if there is a need, I could always pull out something that I need from my, I guess, database of pictures. But it's as simple as just, hey, you take slow steps, you learn to walk first, and then you run, and then you fly. So once you start doing it, I mean, it's a kind of a nuisance where you got to stop after every step and take a picture. Sometimes I don't. We have those patients where if they can only open up for about a minute, you got to get the crown in and get it done. Then there are patients who have the patience to wait. So, if there is good isolation, then I'll stop and then I'll take a picture for every step that I do. So it's there's some good days, there's some bad days, just like anything else in dentistry.
Hey, James, are there any questions or anything that the group has?
We have quite a few comments. I've been posting them across the screen, and there's just a lot of highs and great, and thanks for doing what we're doing, and thank you, Dhaval, for what you do. I think what we'd like to do maybe right now to the audience that's watching is, why don't you feed us some questions if you have any, and we'll pass those on. Here's one that just came on. Let's see. Oh, it was more of a comment with all those photos and still finishing the crowns and onlays. Just unbelievable efficiency. I have to say that, even in my journey on this right now, I kind of work on a flow, and I don't like running behind schedule. So, you kind of gauge that. And I don't take pictures on every case I do. I like to. I kind of plan around it. And I do a lot of videotaping as well, and that always takes, probably when I videotape, it takes 4 times the amount of time for me to do the case. But I just had a meeting with my team the other day and say we need to start documenting everything we do, just because it's there, particularly as an educator and sharing. And now you have this international forum that just is helping a lot of people. I've really seen the bar raise in CEREC. In fact, the cases that are coming through aesthetically on Keep CERECing are blowing me away. I'm a student as well, and I look at those cases coming through, and it just makes me admire the forum of where it develops this international community that helps us to move up. When I went through the accreditation in the AACD, that was difficult because photographs are very critiquing. In fact, before I see the case, when I try it in, I'll always take a photograph because I'll see something I don't see in real life. But to see the photograph look good means the case is outstanding.
Yeah, I mean, like we were chatting earlier, when I got involved with CEREC, I usually thought that CEREC is so proliferated within the United States that most of the CEREC leaders are here. But then when you start seeing these cases on Keep CERECing from dentists in Russia and Ukraine and Taiwan and the Middle East and South America, and everybody is raising the bar, and it's so inspiring because when you see those beautiful cases, you're like, man, I need a case. I just got to do something as good or better, and how do I apply those skills? And it was very nice to kind of meet some of these folks in Germany. I mean, Todd, about a couple months ago, we missed you there, Dr. Klim.
I wish I could have been there.
I even asked Todd why you weren't there, and he told me why you were not. So we exchanged messages after that.
Yeah. But thank you.
It was,
I appreciate it.
It was just so nice to meet all these different people from South Africa and Argentina and Chile and Europe, and just kind of put a face to a name and see all these people who do beautiful work. So it was a good time there.
What's funny about that meeting, Dhaval, is that we were right before the virus hit all over, and if we would have only had an inkling in our brains what was about ready to happen,
I don't think the meeting would have happened.
Yeah, it wouldn't have happened. But think of the camaraderie and everything from all around the world that we had at that meeting. It was fantastic. I really think that when this comes to pass, let's say, it's going to be like that again. We're going to have more camaraderie within dentistry. I think dentists can be our own worst enemies, down the street or wherever. And, as an industry, we're not big. We're a small group. And I think when this all comes through that, the dentists in your local area that you thought weren't your friends are actually going to be your friends, because we're all in the same boat. We're all trying to get the same loan. We're all trying to deal with team members and everything. And Dhaval, I am very impressed with your work. I'm impressed with your leadership, your spirituality, and not to mention what you did to get your license. I mean, my goodness.
That's unbelievable.
My cowboy hat is off to you, buddy.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Good.
Always. And thank you so much for coming on. Todd and I chose Todd and James Live, and the reason why is because we wanted to take ourselves into this broadcasting and not our teaching institute, because our objective here is to be inclusive, particularly at this time now. I mentioned this on a prior broadcast. Todd and I started to connect more because I'm lonely. And I actually, we spoke with Karen last week, and when I speak with other colleagues that are in this together, we can build each other up. Because
absolutely.
We've never been through this in my lifetime, and when the Great Plague happened hundreds of years ago, we didn't have internet, so nobody knew what was going on. But we want to build each other up. We want to encourage people, and I really appreciate you coming on, because I've really been impressed with what you've done with Keep CERECing and how you keep raising the bar, getting the mentors out there now. It's about helping others be better. And, I think I understand you even more now with your story about the boards. I got nervous when you were telling that story, because I remember the day I took my boards, I walked back to where I was staying. By the way, I went to Loma Linda, and I sat on the floor and didn't move for 6 hours. Just because, I was emotionally exhausted.
The crazy part about the board exam was here I was supposed to take a board exam, and it's not actually the board. It's kind of a bench test, and they're looking to grade you down. They're looking to only pick 25 people out of those 250 people. So it doesn't matter how good you are. If you are not in the top 25, you're not there. And when a
lot of pressure.
Also, when you walk into a dental school here in the United States, it was a little intimidating for me, because here everything is so set in place. And, I was from India, not to say that it's better or worse there, but, it was when I got in there and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not getting out of here alive. It was very intimidating for me. But luckily, like I said, I had good mentors. I had good friends supporting me, and a lot of support from the family. So that got me through.
I just admire that story so much.
Taking all those lessons, and you're motivating your colleagues now. So God bless you on that. Yeah. Hey James, let's wrap up.
Okay. Well, any parting words, Dhaval? To your
No. I mean, first of all, thank you for doing this. I've watched both of the earlier episodes. They were great. Weston Hatcher, Karen Halpern, both good friends. I've associated with both of them, so I'm looking forward to each one of your live sessions. And thank you for having me. It was an honor. Thank you.
Well, it's an honor to have you here. So wish you the best in the next few weeks as we all plan this, because I'm not that far away from you. So we'll be up and going. And thank you so much for coming in.
Of course. Keep CERECing.
Bye now.
So thanks, James. So our next guest tomorrow, we've got Andre Sheardon, and then Sarah Jochen is going to follow right afterwards. Andre, if you're not familiar with him, he's a world-renowned guru on EagleSoft and practice management software. He's lectured here at our place, and I've learned tremendous amounts from him. So he's going to be a really interesting discussion. And we got Sarah Jochen. She's a fantastic dentist. I mean, just an amazing clinician, and also somebody that comes on Keep CERECing. So you'll see her around, part of the Epic Lady group.
There we go.
Yeah, we're glad we're having them on. And then on Tuesday, we're going to have Alex Nudell from Revenue Well, and I've got a couple other surprises, and I'll update. But we have a full full week. If you're interested in joining us, email me or James. We'd love to have you on and get you on board. So thanks, brother. I appreciate you tremendously.
It's great talking, and we had a good evening, and I'm glad we made it through the Skype adventures with Wi-Fi. I think both you and I had to work out a few hiccups, but that's how you get better at what you do.
Yeah.
So thanks for tuning in. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Take care. Love you guys. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Bye now.